Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today we are going to talk about triggers, and we're going to talk about healing your deepest emotional wounds. So how do triggers help us heal our deepest emotional wounds? We're about to get into it. You're about to find out. This is one of the hugest, biggest keys to healing. So please settle in, grab yourself a tea, get comfortable, because we're about to go deep. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Lisa from Lisa Heal Yourself, and this channel is about taking back your own personal power so that you can become your own healer and heal anything, any chronic emotional, physical, and emotional disease or illness. You have the power, you can do it. So I first want to start out by talking about triggers. What exactly are triggers? And what are they, and do they belong to us? And why is it that we can be going along having the most amazing day, things can be good, somebody says something to us, a situation happens to us, or we just suddenly get caught off guard with a feeling and we feel triggered, right? We snap, we feel angry, we feel mad, we feel sad, we start to cry, we're watching a movie and all of a sudden we're sobbing. So what are these triggers? Now, when people have chronic illness, chronic disease, chronic mental, emotional, or mental, emotional illnesses, they have a lot of triggers because everything becomes a trigger. Okay, so it's very hard. The patterning is very deep and they're very hard to overcome because it feels like every time you turn around, you're triggered. You're triggered by your relationships. You're triggered by your symptoms. You're triggered by your healing. You're triggered by the foods you're eating. You're triggered by your diet, right? You're triggered in many different physical and emotional ways. So what is a trigger? A trigger is a reaction to something that we don't really think about first. We don't have conscious control over. So it's usually coming from a subconscious pattern designed to keep us safe. And we quickly, before we can even really help ourselves, react. We react to a comment, a person, a situation, a thing, and we have an emotion that's buried underneath it that we don't often want to look at or feel. And this emotion erupts to the top and we react. We react outwardly without being able to stop ourselves. We walk around trying to avoid all day long. How do I handle my trigger? How do I deal with my trigger? How do I face my trigger? How do I avoid my triggers? How do I make sure that triggers aren't happening to me? And those are the wrong questions. It's important to understand that triggers are just emotional responses, right? They're emotional responses to something deep inside us that we don't fully understand yet and we haven't healed. Triggers point to what hasn't been healed. They point to the work, the deeper healing work that still needs to be done. If you were healed in certain areas, these triggers wouldn't exist because triggers are subconscious. So all of a sudden, quickly, you have an emotional reaction and it's very quick. Not only do they come on quickly, but they come on strong with their intensity. They envelop you. They overwhelm you. They catch you off guard. They make you even feel like you're crazy, like even you are surprised by the depth of your reaction to this. This is a deep internal wound that has not been healed. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you except you're having a reaction to something that still needs to be healed. Okay, so the intensity can be frightening. The intensity can be overwhelming. And this is why we don't heal those wounds, because we're afraid. We're afraid of feeling that deep anger, that rage, the deep grief, that overwhelming helplessness or hopelessness, right? We are afraid that those feelings are too much for us, that they will swallow us up if we allow them. And they won't. They're waiting for you to feel them. They're waiting to become healed. So you can have an intense emotion like grief and you're just feeling it to the depth, right? You just start crying. Or maybe somebody says something and you react in anger. You totally freak out. Or maybe you totally withdraw, you go silent, you freeze. You can't even speak anymore. You can't speak to that person. It's too much for you to process and handle. So there's lots of different reactions that you can have. But when they're intense, they're quick, and they're out of character. That's how you know you're dealing with a true trigger. And That's how you know that you're dealing with a true deep wound that needs to be healed. So healing, when we're healing ourselves, whether it's a physical condition or an emotional illness, no matter what it is, right? We have got to deal with and heal the wounds that are deeper because we have them, and that is what's keeping us stuck. That's what's keeping our patterns going. That's what's keeping us unable to break free and move forward and really take our power back and our healing into our own hands, which is what we need to do in order to actually heal. So this work sets you free in the way that it allows you to break the patterns, to break the cycles, to take back your personal power, to figure out what's really going on underneath the physical symptoms, underneath the physical illness, underneath that anxiety or depressive condition. What is it underneath? What are our greatest wounds and our greatest fears that haven't been healed? This is where true healing lies. So if you want to really heal, it doesn't matter how much, and I'm not saying this doesn't matter because it does matter. It doesn't, but it truly doesn't matter in the end what diet you're eating, how much juice you drink, how much you meditate, what your lifestyle is like, and your choices. If you don't get your soul involved in healing, if you don't connect to the part of you that deeply needs to be healed, it's all for nothing. So those are all supportive activities to help your physical body get the materials and get what it needs to actually heal. But if your soul doesn't come to the table, right, then you stay stuck. And so if you're wondering why you're not healing, it's because you're healing with your head, you're healing with your heart, you're healing with your mind, but you haven't brought your soul to the table yet, because this is the most vulnerable spot that we have. It's also the most powerful. Your soul knows. Your soul knows what you don't know. And without getting into a lot of, because this is not a conversation about religion. This is not a religious conversation. Nothing about this is. This is about the deeper part of you that knows things that you're afraid. You're afraid to look there. You're afraid to claim that power. You're afraid to listen to those gut instincts and those inner knowings that are actually trying to tell you, that are actually trying to guide you. So it's important that we bring this soul, this all-knowing, this self, right, to the table and have it lead and guide the healing. That's what needs to happen when we're talking about deep wounds. So again, if you're being triggered in your everyday life, whether reacting in anger or withdrawing or in grief, crying, whatever it is, whatever the reaction for you is, right? This irritation, this frustration, the overwhelm, maybe you're breaking down in overwhelm, you just can't handle it. This is where you need to look, right? This is the healing work. Okay, so we're gonna go deeper now. So a trigger is a malfunctioning fight or flight response. It's an overactive, sympathetic, dominant system. Okay, so your nervous system is overreacting to a situation of perceived danger. It feels like you're in danger, you're threatened by the person or the situation, whatever is going on around you, and it wants to keep you safe. Your nervous system always acts to keep you safe, okay? So you've gone into fight or flight. What this means is that your body is reacting and it is looking to either fight the situation, to run from the situation, or we have something that's called freeze. We freeze, we clam up, we withdraw, right? So we are going to be looking at a way to survive this intense perceived threat. That's why our nervous system is involved. That's why this is subconscious. That's why this rises quickly and intensely. And it's a matter of life or death to your nervous system to keep you safe, to keep you from these threats and to feeling these feelings that are too much for you to process and the old wounds that are too much for you to integrate. So the trigger is never the thing. And we always think it's the thing. We think if only that situation would be different, if only that person could change, if only they hadn't said, or if I had done this, or if only this one thing could change or go back, or I could control it, then everything would be different. I would be able to be okay. And that's never the truth. The truth is that these triggers only exist because your wounds underneath have not been healed. And we spend so much time on the trigger itself, trying to fix the situation or the relationship or the person. They're a distraction. They're a good distraction, and they keep our mind busy, focused on what the problem at hand seems to be, but it never really is. It's deeper. It's deeper inside you. Right? So we need to look harder. We need to realize that these triggers are distractions, and they're keeping us focused and busy and working on something that even when we fix or solve the problem at hand, we still get triggered in the future because we haven't solved the wound. We haven't healed the wound. Problem is always deeper, right? The trigger, we can work on all we want. We can work on the relationship. We can work on the situation. We can solve the problem at hand that seems to be just causing this intense reaction, this feeling inside of us. But that is never what's going to heal you or move you forward so that you won't have these triggers to deal with anymore, right? Because again, once this is over and once you've gotten through this intense trigger, another one will come on its heels in a different form, because that's the way triggers work. And we might choose to, talk things out or work things out. We might choose to cry or play a victim. We may have certain patterns that come to the top. We may emotionally eat or gamble or take drugs or drink or overexercise. There's so many different patterns in place that will come to the surface as a way of distracting us from what's underneath our trigger, what's underneath the problem at hand, which is the true wound that needs to be healed. And now that we've talked a lot about triggers and you understand what they are and where they're coming from, let's talk about our wounds. Let's talk about how to heal our deeper wounds, which is really the real work of healing. So step number 1, I want you to become aware. So if we can stop, take a breath and say, okay, I'm aware. I'm aware that this is a subconscious pattern. I'm in fight or flight right now. I'm reacting. As much as you want to say it's to the situation or to the thing or to the person, and you just need to control this environment or this person or this situation in order for you to feel better, that's never it. So if you can become aware and say, I'm aware that this is from a deeper wound, and I choose to heal that wound now. I stand in my own personal power. I take back my power. I choose to take back my power and heal the wound. So that is step 1. You become aware and you choose. You choose to reclaim your power because you've given your power away to old patterns, subconscious patterns that are playing out right before your eyes. And you say, I choose now to do the inner work, to heal myself. I choose to take my power back and heal the wound that's underneath this. Okay? It's a very firm, proactive decision that we must make right here. We must stop everything and proactively decide that we are no longer going to react in our old patterns, in our old ways, that we're becoming aware, that we understand, and that we're choosing something different. So whatever way that step looks for you, that's the message of the step, that you must reclaim your power and choose to do it differently, right? And that all starts with awareness. And now step number 2, the hardest step, is you feel the feelings. You tell yourself out loud, I am not afraid to feel the deeper feelings, the feelings of grief, sadness, despair, helplessness, loneliness, hopelessness, anger, rage, jealousy, guilt, shame, fear. Recognize that these feelings are just feelings. They're just emotions. And no matter how intense they become, no matter how irrational, no matter how deep, no matter how hard They are to feel, right? Whatever comes up for you, and it will change and it'll morph and it'll deepen and it'll really come to the surface, and the intensity of that is hard and scary to feel. And I want you to say to yourself in this moment, when you choose to say, I am not afraid of my feelings. I know I'm safe. They can't hurt me. They're just feelings, and I intend to feel them in their entirety. And I will not look away. I will not turn away. I will not distract myself. I will not engage in unconscious, unhealthy patterns. I will sit for as long as it takes. I will allow them, and I will not fight them. I will not try to change them. I will not try to fix them. I will not try to make them go away. I will allow them to be just what they are. Can you feel that? This is what people are afraid to do. They're afraid to feel them because we want them to go away. We want to feel them so that we can fix them. We want to feel them so that we can end them. The key here is to stay with them, to allow them to be felt just as they are without being changed in any fashion. You just know that you are safe and that you are strong enough to handle them. You can handle them. They're just feelings and they can't hurt you. And when you sit with them for as long as it takes for them to be felt, that is healing. That's the work. It's so crazy. It's just about sitting and staying, not trying to change, not trying to fix. And so if you haven't seen my video about letting go, the steps that it takes to let go, please watch that video because it will give you more of an idea of how this process works, how the letting go process works, okay? And we can't let go until we feel, until we're not afraid anymore of our own deeper selves, of these feelings that live within us. And it's okay to feel them. And step number 3 to healing your wounds, it always ends with this step, is to have kindness, unconditional kindness, compassion, and self-love for yourself. So what does this step look like? It means reassuring yourself. It means telling yourself that you're okay. It means speaking kindly to yourself. It means telling yourself what you need to hear in order to heal with kindness, compassion, right? If you're going through grief, be compassionate. This is where inner child work comes in. So again, if you haven't seen my video on inner child work and how to do fragmentation work and call these pieces back together, this is a good spot to stop and watch those videos. But it always ends with a piece of self-love, self-acceptance, kindness, and compassion. Deep acceptance of yourself just as you are. Deep love and unconditional, unwavering love for yourself. And when you end the process like this, when you can be loving, be accepting, be kind, be compassionate to yourself, and reparent yourself, do the inner child work necessary, do the fragmentation work, call those parts that are afraid back into your own soul. When you can get your own soul involved in this on a kind, compassionate level, and you can love yourself the way that you were intended to be loved by God, by the universe, by your parents, by your mother. This is the kind of unwavering, unconditional love from Source that I'm talking about, and it's within you. You have the power to give it to yourself. And when you do, you will see that you can actually heal those wounds. Now you can rewrite the wrongs of the past. You can rewrite these old wounds. You can give yourself what you needed, what you longed for, what would have healed you back in those situations, and you can heal yourself now by giving it to yourself. So this is a big video, right? I need you to understand what triggers are and why triggers are affecting your life, your chronic condition, your chronic illness, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. And I want you to understand how healing the deeper wounds underneath the triggers is always the answer. When we're doing that, allowing our feelings and reparenting ourselves with kindness, love, and full acceptance and compassion will heal those wounds that long to be healed. when we do this, we claim our power back. We learn to become our own healer. We learn to stand in our own power. We learn to not be afraid of who and what we are. We start to listen to our soul. We start to connect to source. We start to hear the messages, and we start to understand. We start to really kind of understand on a bigger level what it is you need to do and the steps you need to take to heal not only your wounds, but your life, right? Your physical body, your mental, your emotional, your condition, whatever it is that's plaguing you, and you can see clearly. You can start to see clearly that it's all connected. We're all one. Mind, body, and soul are one. That's why it is important, yes, to do the lifestyle change, to do the nutrition piece, to do all the work on the physical level that you need to do. It's also important to do the inner work, to do the healing. But it is so important to understand that our mind, body conditions, we're all one. It's all one. And we need to heal everything. And until we get our soul involved, until we get the deep down feelings of our soul, then we can see how we have the power to heal everything, that we can heal everything, that it's possible. And it starts with this video. So again, if you don't understand it, go back and watch it again. Watch the supporting videos and know that you are on the right track to healing. I'm giving you a key to the kingdom here. Please take it. This is something that is taught in depth in my program. If you want to go deeper and look at my program, that gives you, everything you need in order to heal yourself. But this is it right here. Here's the key, and I hope that you take it and know that you're on the right path to healing whatever physical, mental, or emotional ailment that you have. You are not broken. You're not broken, and you can heal. You can heal all of it. I promise you can. I've done it, and I want to help you do it as well. So if you are not yet subscribed, please do so. Please share the video, give it a like, and I will see you in the next one.